Hello, I'm Terry Farish. I'm going to read you a story I wrote a long time ago, and I wanted to read you this one because it's about an old man who lives alone, only he doesn't really live alone because he lives with his cat. And in their evolving relationship, he has a whole family with him, with this animal. And it could be that you are like me and you're living alone or without things that you want. And I think that when I was young, I began to write because I desperately wanted a cat or a dog or a horse or a pig or chickens. I loved animals. And so I began to write stories that I had this whole world of animals that I created in my imagination. So this story comes from England. It was a fragment of it was told to me by my neighbor, who was like a grandfather to my daughter, and we brought it home. And like writers do, I mulled this story over. We talked about it. We talked about cats. We got a cat when we got home, and then a story came into my imagination, and I moved it to Texas. So come with me to Texas. This is the story of The Cat Who Liked Potato Soup. It's published by Candlewick Press, and the pictures are by Barry Root. And I'm going to show you one of Barry's first pictures. Look at the details here, and you will see how Barry deeply imagined this irascible old man's personality. And he put details in this picture to bring you right into the way this man lives in the world. There was an old man, an old Texas boy, country raised, don't you know, grew up hearty on fried chicken and biscuits big as Louisville Lake, and with an army of cats, so as one looked about the same as another. The old man couldn't count how many had come and gone. Now the place was wizened down to one cat, who he liked, but not so as you'd notice. The old man and the cat lived on a road called Chatterpie for the string of blackbirds that perched on the telephone wire. "Make a good pie," the old man said to the cat. The cat licked her lips. "Hogwash," the old man said. "How would you know how them birds taste? You never killed nothing, not a mouse, nothing." The cat was fond of the man's potato soup, which made him love her a breath more, but not so as you'd notice. The man and the cat had a pickup truck, and together they often rode down the lake to go fishing. The cat sat in the bow of the boat, her face into the wind like she was a hood ornament. The man caught freshwater bass, which were usually so small he kissed them and wished them another season's growing and tossed them back. The cat never caught nothing. One winter day, the old man hauled home an electric blanket. The cat looked at it as if to say, "Well, finally." The man knew what she said, and he said, "Aren't you uppity, your royalty?" The cat merely blinked and turned her gaze to the winter wheat. The next evening, the cat didn't feel like rousing herself. She wanted her food delivered. The old man whispered, "Fool cat, you ain't nobody's prize. Never killed nothing." He brought her a bowl of potato soup on a small tray. In the morning, it was their time to go fishing. The old man paused at the door, pulled down the bill of his cap, said, "You know, them fish don't weigh on ya." He said it slow, give the cat a chance to ramble out to the truck. Nothing. The cat took the deep, deep breaths of a long sleep. The old man shook his head. He'd go alone. Who needed a cat? Nothing but a bony cat. Wouldn't even go fishing. Alone, the old man launched the boat in the heavy winter fog. But the boat didn't handle, and the fish didn't bite. At home, the cat's eyes opened. No clatter in the kitchen. She waited. He'd never left without her. In the winter dawn, when the fog lifted and the outline of the moon remained in the sky, the cat waited. The morning came. The moon faded. No soup, no old man. The cat slipped off the bed into the window that they always left cracked, and through this she disappeared into the flat, yellowed field. When the old man came home, he didn't find the cat lolling on the bed. He looked in his rooms. He had 3. She was not lolling in any of them. She did not come home for lunch. She did not come home for supper. In the dawn, there was still no cat. The old man got up to go fishing. He went fishing the next morning and the next. Each time, he came home to an empty house. What's done is done, he told himself one morning. I'd done right by a worthless cat. Never caught nothing. He drove up the road called Chatterpie. He drove up his and the cat's dirt driveway. He walked, head down, with a sorrowful face, until he came to his front porch. And there was the cat. And under her paw was a fish. The fish did not require kissing, as it had had several seasons of prosperity. The cat's eyes sparked with anger. Her tail flailed and came down in long, hard thumps on the creaky wood. She glared at the old man. The old man swept off his cap. He stared at the cat. He stared at the fish. Even the birds hushed up at such a sight. The cat did not care. Her eyes dared him to touch that fish. She would not talk, only howl. She opened her mouth and howled for a long time. The old man had trouble making out the details of her story, but she had swum and swum and detested being wet. And then there was the fish part. He sat with her on the porch until she was tired of telling him how awful it had all been. The story was very muddled, but he was impressed. It broke his heart. She washed her ears until they stood up and she looked more like herself. The old man promised to take her with him no matter how bad she looked. He had only thought maybe she was too old to go fishing. She said she was sleeping. Hadn't she earned a winter's sleep? He thanked her for the fish, which of course she had not given him. He told her never mind about killing them birds or nothing. She was good enough like she was. A little skinny, he added. She ignored him. The man made up a new pot of potato soup that night. and he whistled. The cat made a nest on the electric blanket, and she purred. And he loved the sight of her, and oh, this time you'd notice. She was a little tender, though, and refused to share the blanket with him until, in the night, a sliver moon appeared in the sky. And then came sweet peace. And this is dedicated in memory of Jimmy Fowler of Coombe, Oxfordshire. And the pictures are by the extraordinary Barry Root. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, you are never alone with your imagination and your stories.